My name is Mae-ling Lokko. I occupy this gray area between one foot in the academy and one foot in industry. I teach at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and have two biomaterial upcycling companies. One is based in Ghana called Willow, and another based in upstate New York called Ambis. If I had to describe myself and the work I do, I would describe it as architectural technology. To me, architectural technology gives me the broadest platform to work from the scale of the micropore of a coconut fiber all the way up to the sort of scale that we're familiar with, the buildings that we inhabit every day. My passion has always lied in finding value, typically in places where it's either been forgotten or ignored. Being from Ghana and the Philippines, two places that have typically exported their agricultural produce at low value, there was an opportunity to add value and bring that into the hands of people who are at the beginning of the material life cycle. That's what I strive to do in my work. Make sure that people who are in the producing roles get more value for what they're actually doing. I'm really excited to be here as part of the Liverpool Biennial 2018, and I've come here to hack the roots. The title behind this exhibition, Hack the Root, talks about subverting the idea of a root, which is a singular, totalitarian way of growing that is only interested in its self-growth and displacing everything around it. Today we produce about 350 billion tons of waste from our food industry. And that number is only going to get worse. So there is this link between our growth and the amount of waste we're producing from the food we need to consume to survive. I see agro-waste as one of the most underutilized material streams that exist in the world today. These are valuable, really high-performance materials that we can use for housing our growing population. So there's a massive opportunity to take this waste problem and feed it into an alternative material supply for our buildings. Mycelium is the vegetative state of fungi. They form the underground network of forests. A great way of thinking about it is the fungi has this stationary fruiting body, and the mycelium is the soldiers. They're the brave ones who venture out to search for moisture and nutrients. So they're essentially nature's glue. They bind everything, they find all the nutrients, they recycle waste and allow the fungi to grow. To start off, when it begins, it requires very little energy in order to grow and form really strong bonds with chitin. And they basically will take the properties of anything that they're feeding on as part of their internal structure. So if you feed it with hemp, it will take on the characteristics of that agro-waste that it's feeding on. They're incredibly resilient. If you break a bond and you bring it back with moisture and the right conditions, it's going to heal that bond. So it's self-repairing in the growth process. And depending on the way you process it, you can get stuff that is low density and spongy and breathable, or something that is as hard and robust as a medium density particle board by pressing them. At the end of their material life cycle as well, they're completely biodegradable. I find beauty in the social as well as the material scale, and I wanted to bring that to the heart of this exhibition. In a material sense, we've chosen the most amazing flagship person, the mycelium, to come forth, and we've brought that to the public in these grow chambers that you're seeing inside and outside the gallery. So we see the mushroom panels growing for the first time in a gallery space. The actual participants, in terms of the social scale, we've opened it up to the youngest and brightest in our society, 7 to 8-year-olds from Windsor Primary School, who will be growing these mushroom panels with our partner Squash Nutrition. We're basically bringing members of our community, farmers, volunteers, children, all who become part of the actual production of growing this entire mycelium pavilion. The entire growing process begins with these grow-it-yourself kits, GIY kits that have come out of Ecovative. So we have these bags that are inoculated with the mycelium, and then in this case the agro-waste is hemp. So when the workshops begin, the kids use these forms. We call them grow trays, which are already in the shape, designed in the shape of our panels. And so they basically mix in the substrates. They add a cup of flour to give the mixture a bit more food and nutrition to grow. And they pack it very densely in this form. The denser it is, the stronger the panel. So the kids have to pay a lot of attention in their technique in packing in this grow tray. After they finish filling the tray, we cover it with plastic wrap, which allows the grow tray to maintain moist conditions for the mycelium to grow over a period of 4 days. Grow chambers provide the sort of embryonic interior for the mycelium panels to grow healthy and safely. It basically maintains high humidity conditions because moisture is great for growth. It also provides a very clean, sterile environment, which means that the grow trays don't get contaminated. After that initial growth of 4 days, we have a period that is known as overgrowth, which allows the plastic wrap to come out and the actual panel to breathe a bit, but it is still covered. And what happens is we see this beautiful velvety white texture developing on the surface of the panel. And then lastly, the panels are left out to dry in the sun, basically by reducing the moisture content to a very minimal percentage and exposing it to heat basically kills off the growth process, and there we have this inert mycelium panel that we mounted onto our tunnel. And after this exhibition, the panels will live on and have a second life in Squash, where they're growing different setups for their community farms. Despite all the technological advances that are happening with bio-based building materials, I think the greatest barriers we will experience are social and cultural. And in this sense, I think art is the most powerful instrument we have today to not just mitigate the risk of experimenting with these materials, but also exposing a much wider cross-section of our society to these materials. So it cuts across ages, it cuts across class, and it cuts across different cultural barriers, and I think that's the goal. The future of this technology, mycelium, is wide open. Like many of the bioadhesive technologies that are emerging, there are just a plethora of applications. What I think is the most exciting thing about mycelium relative to other bioadhesives is the fact that it has opened up the production process. So it's decentralized, it's local, and it's spreading like wildfire.